Welcome back. You're watching Breakfast. Now, it's an enormous decision, leaving your job and your home to take your family travelling to the other side of the world. And for Sarah Alderson, it has changed her life forever.
5 years, 5 countries later, she's become a successful writer with 14 novels to her name. And now, for the first time, she's turned her hand to non-fiction. She's telling the story of her journey as she and her family tried to find a new place to call home. And Sarah joins us now. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
What an adventure you've had.
I
mean, I don't think we've done it justice there in our introduction to you. So what happened? You thought...
So 5 years ago, or was it a bit longer now, we were working in London full-time. Our daughter was 3, and we were, like many parents, trying to juggle full-time work, commuting, you know, balancing life. And we just thought, OK, you know, one day we'll retire and we'll be able to go and, like, follow our dreams. And then we looked at each other and realised that that was just insanity. Like, we could wait 40 more years or we could just do it. So we quit our jobs, and which was terrifying. And we packed our bags, just 2 rucksacks, and we took our daughter Alula and we bought round-the-world tickets using a loan for a new bathroom. And we just went off on an adventure to find a new place to call home. We had no idea, really, what we were looking for, apart from somewhere hot. And we ended up in Bali, where we lived for almost 5 years.
It's a fantastic book. I read it in 2 days. It's laugh out loud in bits. I wondered, actually, when I read it, you obviously have a brilliant sense of humour. And you need it, don't you, when you go travelling for 7 months?
Definitely, especially with a toddler. Yeah, it was. I think a lot of the funniest parts in the book were courtesy of our daughter, who, you know, there were just so many hilarious moments. I mean, I think you look back with rose-tinted glasses a lot of the time, you know, like you romanticise those trips on Indian trains. But there were some really funny moments where, like, Alula needed to go to the loo on a coach in Malaysia, and, you know, had to, like, position the bottle underneath her in the aisle, and it went everywhere. She's going to hate me for telling that story.
Yeah, she's not going to appreciate it.
Yeah, she isn't.
She's a lot older. No. But an adventure for her, a completely different experience, but a scary step in terms of money doesn't last forever.
No.
To bring you back down to earth, there was a reason you were both working while you were in the city.
And, you know, when we left, we travelled on a shoestring budget, and we knew we were going to have to work as we were travelling. Luckily, my husband is a designer, so he was able to freelance a little bit on the way. But I had no idea what I was going to do, because I felt like I had no skills, like nothing whatsoever. And before we left, I was in such a panic, like, how am I going to earn money? And I was swimming one day in Beckenham public swimming baths. I remember this so well. And I was trying desperately to think of, like, how I could earn money. And I thought about Stephanie Meyer, who wrote the Twilight series, which, you know, and I was like, oh, she's a billionaire, and just for writing about vampires, I'm going to do the same. So I literally that night went home and started writing my first novel, Hunting Lila, which I then sent out to agents the day before we left for India, and I got a 3-book deal before we landed in Bali, and so I've been writing young adult fiction since then. For
This is the unbelievable thing, though. Did I read in your book you wrote 14 books on the beach in Goa?
No, not 14. No. I've written a couple of books on the beach in Goa.
Oh, right, OK. But you've written 14 books in all?
14 books while I was in Bali.
And you'd never written a book before?
I've never written a book
So
before.
The point when you gave up your job, and is it John, your husband?
Yeah.
He's a graphic designer, right? And so he had a job, you had nothing, you thought, I'll just
write a book. I was very naive, and I think naivety worked in my favour, because I was like, why not? And I just took the risk. And I didn't Google how much authors earn, which probably would have stopped me if I had. So I wrote Hunting Lila, which is now in development as a movie, and we're currently, like, casting Hunting for Lila, which is so exciting.
And I know you can't tell us details about the director, but we can be excited about it. It's an established director, whoever you're working with. How do you churn out 14 books? And when I say churn, I don't mean to be insulting, because there's obviously been very successful. Yeah. But most people wouldn't think that you could put out 14 books and with quality and success as a result.
I think so. I wrote quite a lot of young adult books. I wrote young adult thrillers. I also write under a pseudonym, Miller Gray, which is my women's fiction name, which my dad calls erotica, which is very, very mortifying.
Did your dad read it?
I banned them from reading it, but he did actually read it, which was very embarrassing. I just write very fast. I write a book about every 6 weeks. I can write one in 6 to 8 weeks. And I think it comes from not being a perfectionist. So I don't angst over every line. And I just love writing. So, and I visualise it very much like a movie.
A lot of people will read your book going on holiday over the next few weeks, and they'll be on their way back on holiday and thinking, yeah, maybe I could do this. But the one question I had when I was reading it, because I mean, I spent 9 years on the road with the BBC Foreign Travel, with a daughter the same age as yours, is that if you have children or you have family, it's so difficult to give it all up, isn't it?
I think for us it was easier because we only have one child and she was 3, so she wasn't in school. And also, we just hardly, you know, we were ships passing in the night. We worked full-time from when she was 6 months old, so I worked in a charity in London. And it was actually so much fun to go away together and actually have family time, and I think that made up for it.
Which people don't get if they live in cities.
So.
No.
Are you off again?
Yes, definitely. We're leaving in November. We don't know where we're going yet. Watch this space. I'm going to be documenting it on my blog, hopefully do another book out of it. But we don't know where we're going yet.
Well, we enjoyed the book. Thank you very much. And thanks for coming in to talk to us.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Sarah. Yeah, and the book is called Can We Live Here? And it's out. It was out yesterday.
It was out yesterday.
Well, that is all from breakfast from us this morning. We're going to be back with you from 6 o'clock. Well, all morning, Carol's been at the Bristol International Balloon Fiesta. Why not leave you with this lovely sunny shot from there? Have a lovely day.